Welcome to Life Hidden with Christ in God, an optimistic, conversational, thought-provoking commentary on Paul's letter to the Colossians. My hope is that you'll gain a better understanding of the New Testament and be encouraged in your daily living. Now, here's today's conversation.
But this is really cool because then he goes on and says, well, if that's not going to help me any, then what will? Well, Paul says in chapter 3, since you've been raised to new life with Christ, set your sights on the realities of heaven, where Christ sits in the place of honor at God's right hand. Think about the things of heaven, not the things of earth, okay? Don't dwell on all this, what you can and can't do. And I don't mean totally ignore it. I mean, yeah, stay out of trouble, but don't make your whole life about, I'm gonna really try not to sin. You won't make it. But yeah, we shouldn't go jump into it. But the focus should be turned from, I'm not going to sin, I'm going to really try not to sin, to heavenly things. Because as you relate to God and as you turn your attention to Him, it's going to be more instinctive that you won't sin. You won't be trying real hard not to. You'll be engaged with God, and it will be much more unlikely that you're going to fall into that, even though you might sometime. Spiritual people do fall into things, hopefully not for very long. So set your sights on the reality of heaven, where Christ sits at the place of honor. Think about things of heaven, not the things of the earth, because you died to this life. Okay, we didn't really. We were just talking about friends that have bone cancer. I've got a buddy that has bone cancer too. Went down and talked to him for a couple hours today. We had a great talk. You have died to this life, not physically, but you have, in another sense, in a spiritual sense. This life is not what it's about. It's not that life's not important. It is important. But it's kind of like this life is not about this life. You know what I mean? It's not about here and now, but we have to live the here and now. So it's not unimportant. It's just not the most important thing. And if you can get that balance where you haven't said, okay, this life doesn't matter at all, I'm just going to be a spiritual guru, that won't work. But going after this life and trying to make it all work, and it's great to have a job. It's great to accomplish things. Bill and I are doing the radio show, and we really are enjoying it. We're going after it, but we don't make our whole life about that. You know, you make your life about Christ, where He's seated, because you've died to this life as far as it being your total absorbed attention getter. You know what I mean? It's just like there's a balance there. It doesn't mean you think lowly of life, or it doesn't matter. But this life is not the most important thing. Once you get there, it's like life can't hurt you very much. I don't mean you can't go through pain. I don't mean there aren't trouble in relationships, but it doesn't dominate you anymore. If this life is all there is, man, I'll tell you, when you have trouble, it is so hard because you're losing your world. You're confused. You're struggling. You're in pain emotionally and everything. So once you die to this life, so to speak, and I don't mean quit living it, but in your mind, and your real life is hidden with Christ in God, when you do that, even to any degree, it's going to be really, really terrific. And I think you probably all experience that in differing degrees at different times, right? Does that make sense? I see a blank stare from Rhonda.
Multiple translations.
Okay. Well, that'll do it. That'll do it.
Because I was kind of wondering, what the word for heaven.
What is it about heaven? The word heaven. What was your question?
So I was wondering, because a lot of people have been saying that sometimes we overestimate, or not overestimate, overemphasize. You know, that, let's not worry about this life because our next life is some way off in a cloud somewhere.
Yeah.
And so then some people say, well, heaven it overlaps here with earth.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's what I was trying to get to, was a balance. You don't just check out of life and say it doesn't matter. It does matter. You're living it, and it matters to God, and that's why He leaves us here. It does matter what we do, but don't make that the most important thing. So I think that's what he's saying.
Remember when we were talking about how that God is in us and with us, and so like heaven is like right here in us?
Yeah, you could think of it that way. I don't
Some
know that.
people think like God in heaven is like way far away, somewhere separated from us.
Yeah, that's how it's been related. It's beyond the clouds somewhere, but I think heaven is the realm in which God exists in the non-material spiritual realm, and it's right here around us. I mean, you just can't see it, and I know that's difficult because it's like, is this a joke or what? But no, it's not. There is a God, and he does exist, and he's in that realm, and he's omnipresent, and somehow the two worlds, they overlap, but they don't intersect completely.
Rhonda, what was the scripture you read? You said something above.
So instead of heaven, they said focus on things above where.
Yeah. You know, I just thought something just crossed my mind that if you don't think of it as something physical, but like, you know how when stuff happens in the physical realm with other people, sometimes we use the expression, well, we need to rise above it.
Yeah.
I think that's a spiritual way to think of above, meaning it's a thing in the mind that rises above what we get caught up in the physical realm.
I think that's a good way to characterize it. I think, yeah.
That's kind of the way I think about it. And that's why heaven is here already, but we still are entrapped in these bodies, but we're, you know, we can still think in terms of we can rise above so much. If we get it more right, I guess, as we go, we practice transcending above these things that are problems. We get caught up in them, you know?
Yeah, no, that's good. I like that. And I think that's probably characteristic of it. Remember, these folks were more primitive than we are in many ways. This was all new to them, and they came out of a world where the gods were off there somewhere and up there. And so God relates to us where we're at the time and tries to teach us in terms we understand. So when Jesus ascended into the clouds, if he actually did that, he was going upward. Does that mean that he just kept going and went into outer space, or did he do that to draw our attention upward and not downward, you know, out beyond ourselves, and kind of working with people in how they thought of the heavens and the heaven, and God's out there somewhere, and he doesn't mind to teach us where we're at, even if it's not exactly accurate, because he meets us where we are in our thinking. So I think we're beyond them a little bit, and that we have this better understanding of what heaven is, but they had a more primitive view of it. So it was the above stuff and the out there and the two-level universe with God's up there and we're down here and that kind of stuff. So that just kind of comes out of their world. But I think Donna worded it very well. I think that's the idea, is it's above mere human things and puny things. It's grandiose. When something's above, it's grand and it's big and it's magnanimous. So it's more conceptual than physical, perhaps. And he kind of explains it, because you died to this life and your real life is hidden with Christ in God. And when Christ, who is your life, is revealed to the whole world, you will share in all his glory. So apparently, Paul thinks there's going to be a time when Christ comes and reveals himself to the whole world. And that'll be a great and amazing day if that's the way it works. But he believed that, and he wanted them to see it from that perspective. So let me go on. Put to death the sinful earthly things lurking within you. Have nothing to do with sexual immorality, impurity, lust, evil desires. Don't be greedy, for a greedy person is an idolater, worshiping the things of this world. Because of these sins, notice, because of these sins, the anger of God is coming. It's not, I'm ticked off at you guys because you've dishonored me. I've got my feelings hurt, or I'm the great mighty God, and how dare you not believe in me, and I'm going to come and do something bad to you. I don't think God's that puny. I think it's because of the sins, and because he's a God who loves, he says, man, this stuff's killing you. I'm angry because I love you. It's kind of like when you have kids and you get angry at them. You don't hate them. So your anger is rooted in your love. Man, I don't want my kids doing this. I don't want them running out in the street. The motive is you're for them. You want to do something for them, not something to them. I can't wait to wail on my kid for disobeying me. There are parents like that, but that's not most parents, and it's not God. So yeah, God is angry about sin, Good for you, God. Thank you for being angry about sin. Somebody needs to do something about it. We're sure not going to. And he's going to do something about it. He's going to get rid of all of it for all eternity. He's going to reconcile everything to himself. And that's what you would expect God to do. I mean, if he's really God and he's really big and he loves his world, isn't he going to do something about it, make things right? Or is he going to leave things wrong? I mean, the more you think about who God has to be, the more you start to agree with those early church fathers who believed God was going to reconcile everything to himself and make things right, and everyone would be saved. And that's how it really was until the rise of the Roman Catholic Church in about 500 AD. Okay, you used to do these things when your life was still part of this world, but now is the time to get rid of anger and rage and malice and malicious behavior, slander, dirty language. Don't lie to each other. Knock it off. You don't need to do that. For you have stripped off your old sinful nature. Man, that's gone. It's not really, okay? But you want to. And you have in your mind said, man, God, I want to live for you. So let me get rid of this sinful nature. So you have at least in your attitude, your disposition toward God, you don't want that sinful nature. You still have it. But that's a big start, because a lot of people haven't even tried to strip it off and get rid of it. They don't even know about that. So he's saying, you've stripped off your old nature, at least the best you can, and its wicked deeds, the best you can. Put on, and there's the real solution is, because you can try to be good all your life and really, really try, and you won't make it, because what you're trying to do is get your old flesh, your old nature to be good, and it's not going to be. What you do is you don't try to convert it. You put on the new nature and be renewed as you learn to know your Creator and become like him. See, that's the solution. Not trying to not be bad. It's not even trying to be good. It's put on the new nature and say, wow, I understand this new mindset I have. I understand what God's done for me. I'm going to be renewed as I learn to know my Creator and be more like him. And that's a process we go through. And it does work. It takes a lot of time.
Carl,
Yeah.
I got to read to you Colossians 3:6 in different versions.
Oh, sure. Yeah, go for it.
So, for which things' sake cometh the wrath of God upon the sons of disobedience.
Sounds like King James.
That was actually American Standard Version.
Okay, American Standard is in the King James wording, except they took out the these and thous, most of them.
This one's even worse. So this is the Bible in basic English. Because of which the wrath of God comes on those who go against his orders.
Well, they're reading in a lot.
But that's where people get all that.
Yeah, they do.
Wrathful God stuff from.
And yet, I think it simply says the anger of God is coming because of the sins.
Yeah.
So that's really important that we understand it.
He's talking about the sins and not the sinner.
Yeah. Mostly. Although, like I said, when my kids sinned, I was angry with them. It's not wrong to be angry. The New Testament says, be angry and don't sin, and don't let the sun set on your anger. It's not that anger is wrong. That's a normal thing to do. It's how angry you are, why you're angry, and how long.
I think it's the word wrath that I don't like.
Yeah. Yeah. They have put this most dramatic word in there in the English language, the word wrath, but actually, I don't know if I mentioned this last week, it's the Greek word orge, and that's where we get our word orgasm. Intensity. No, it is. So the orgasm of God, I'm being facetious, but it's a intensity, and it usually is associated with negative things. So the way I think of it is an intense negative disposition.
Wouldn't passion be another word?
Yeah, it's a passionate thing.
What about the passion of Christ?
Yeah, there you go.
Would that come from that root of
because
anger toward the sin?
Right. Passion, we think of passion, oh, I love you and I'm real positive. But passion can be a negative, intense disposition. But it's not, but the word wrath sounds like, the fire's coming out your nostrils and you just can't wait to devour something like Godzilla or something. That's not the best English word, I don't think. But we do it because we've been taught from the Catholic Church and Roman Catholicism and Augustine, this horrible thing that God's going to do to people after they die. Because he's holy and just, he has to send people to hell or annihilate them or whatever. And I've just found that there's nothing in the New Testament that requires you to draw that conclusion. You can if you want. Like this, we tend to read the worst into God instead of looking for something good in him, which is what you would expect. Okay, yeah, he gets angry. Why? Do we just go, well, it's extreme anger and he's going to do something horrible? Or is there a good purpose in the anger? There's a good purpose in my anger when I was a dad, and I'm not even God. I'm not perfect, but there was a good purpose in my anger. I wanted the best for my kids. So there's no reason why God can't get angry and have a good purpose in it to do something about the sin. I want to get that sin out of your life, not I want to get back at you for sinning. That's a totally different motive than looking at the sinner and going, you are a sinner. You're doing these horrible things. It's destroying you. It does make me angry, but it makes me angry enough to do something. And so that's what the cross is all about. God doing something in love about the sin and getting rid of it, taking it away, it says. He's the Lamb of God who takes away the sins of the world. Did he or didn't he? Well, he did. But we still commit them because you have to commit them in order for him to take them away. It's not a sin prevention program. It's a taking the penalty of sin on himself. That's where the salvation is. It's not okay, I've demonstrated my love for you on the cross and you better shape up or I'm really going to get you. That's a much different angle on this whole thing. Okay, we beat that one to death. So now's the time to get rid of anger and all that nasty stuff and put on the new nature so you can become like your Creator in this life. It doesn't matter if you're a Jew or a Gentile, circumcised, uncircumcised, barbaric, uncivilized, slave or free, rich or poor, smart or dumb, tall or short. You can go on. That's a long list. Christ is all that matters. He's all that really matters. Now, it does matter whether you go to work tomorrow and make money and pay the bills, because if you don't, your life's going to get real complicated. It's not that those things aren't important at all. It's just that those are not the most important thing. And when you get the most important thing taken care of, those other things will be under that. They'll be manageable. Those things can come at you hard and fast, and they're going to come anyway. So you're going to go through difficult things all by yourself. Are you going to go through difficult things? You're still going to go through them with God and with his help and with his love, but you're not going to be able to get around the difficult things that come your way. Half of them we bring on ourselves. If you just start living the way you should, which we don't at 20 years old, and hopefully we do at 70, you're going to get rid of a whole bunch of stuff. A whole bunch of problems are going to go away because you're not up and down and reacting to everything. And you know what I mean? So that'll take care of part of it, but you can't get rid of all the trouble. So it's going to come your way. And then if you're hidden with Christ and God, and that's where your focus is, you're going to do better with all that stuff that you can't avoid. I wish we could run away from it, but you can't. So it's just how you deal with it, by yourself or with that great perspective of God having a purpose in everything and not being a mean person that just gets back at people, but a God who is always acting for you and not against you. He wants to do something for you, not to you. Okay?
Absolutely. Can I say something?
Oh, yeah.
Now that I'm getting more understanding about God, like maybe an hour or two ago before Bible study, I got this little disturbing phone call.
Oh, I hate those. I get them once in a while too.
Me pre-knowledge, wisdom, and understanding would have been crying and depressed.
Yep.
Hard on myself because I made some bad choices, hence why I got a disturbing phone call.
Yep.
But having the understanding, knowing like the scripture that tells us to think about things above.
Yep.
And there's a scripture in Isaiah, I think it's 26, that says he'll keep you in perfect peace if you keep your mind on him or set on him.
Yep.
I had to just, after I got off the phone call, I immediately just thank God.
Yep. Yep.
Like, God, good. I give it to you.
Yep.
I know you're going to work this thing out because that's who he is to us. And he wants us to give things to him because he's all powerful. He can do it all. Everything that we need.
That's right. And half of the solution there isn't just what God will do, it's what you won't do in overreacting. Because when you come to God and say, God, I'm going to wait on you, you've just cut off the possibility or the probability that you're going to overreact in a relationship or try to get back at them or run away from it or whatever, which usually just makes things worse. So when you just hunker down in the situation you're in and say, God, I'm going to wait on you. I'm going to do the best I can with this. I'm not going to overreact. You've just taken care of about half the problem, if not three-fourths. And then God in time takes care of it. That's half of the battle in turning to God, is what you end up not doing that you would do on your own, and that's overreact. We all do it. You know what I'm talking about. You're going to solve it yourself. You're going to get back at them. You're going to tell them off. You're going to whatever. You're going to go hide and try to get away and whatever. You know, that's usually when the trouble comes, is when we don't respond correctly, and we actually contribute to the problem.
You know, I just immediately gave it to God and just took the focus off the issue and just focus on the guy that can take care of the issue.
So it's not like you pray to God and whammo, all of a sudden he just takes away. That doesn't usually happen. But like I said, it will take time. And in the time while you're waiting for him, you're not making it worse. So you've found a wonderful secret in life. It ain't perfect, but it's a lot better than the alternative of making things worse, which we can do. Okay, since God chose you to be the holy people he loves, you must clothe yourselves with tender-hearted mercy, kindness, humility, gentleness, and patience. That's a lot. What? In the middle, after a bad phone call, I got to do tender-heartedness, kindness, humility, gentleness, and patience? Oh, wow. Those are not coming naturally to us. But when we do them, even though they're not natural, like I said, it will take care of 90% of the problem, because 90% of the problem is us. It's not always the other guy. They're included, and they got their own issues. But clothe yourself, put on tender-heartedness. Just a gentle answer turns away anger from other people. Amazingly. Generally, usually. Mercy, just be merciful toward them, and kind. Just don't respond in kind, respond kindly. And get a little humility there and go, you know what? Maybe I don't have this all figured out. Maybe I'm not right. Maybe they are right about something. Be gentle with them and patient. And patient is just waiting. You know, that's a good list, right? Make allowance for each other's faults. Oh, there you go. Make allowance for each, because they need to make allowance for your faults and you for them. It's going to happen. All we focus on is the other guy's faults or another person, and we don't even see our own. And we're in there too. Forgive anyone who offends you. Oh, that's hard. They've offended you. They don't deserve forgiveness. No, they don't. But do it anyway. So what happens when you forgive somebody that offends you? What do you think? What are you saying to them? Even if you don't say certain words, what is forgiveness?
It's love to me. It's showing love.
It's showing love. But when you forgive, what are you saying when you say, I forgive you?
I'm letting go of it.
Yeah, you're saying to them, I'm letting go. I am releasing you of any obligation to me. Assuming they were wrong and you were right and they offended you, by forgiving them, you're saying, I'm releasing you. I'm giving you permission to be released from any obligation to me for the offense that you did.
I guess it could go to that quote, maybe AA or something. Let go and let God. Well, God is love, so let go and let love.
There you go.
So it's the same. They both are the right answer.
But we are, since they offended us, or we believe they did, we are releasing them of any obligation. We're not going to hold it over them anymore. And we go, I forgive you. That's what forgiving means. And it certainly includes love. And that's very powerful. Now, sometimes you forgive somebody, they don't receive it because they go, what are you forgiving me for? I didn't do anything wrong. You know what? Just forgive them anyway. And don't push it. Don't say, well, I forgive you anyway. Just say, look, I forgive you. Or if you didn't do anything wrong, that's great. I mean, by diffusing it, That's what it's really all about. And you're making allowance for each other's faults and forgiving anyone who offends you.
Mhm.
Remember, he says, the Lord forgave you, so you must forgive others. And he forgave us
Absolutely.
more than we'll ever forgive them. Right?
Yeah. We're also seeking peace. The Bible tells us to seek it and pursue it. So
Yeah.
if I got to humble myself and say, hey, you know what? I apologize.
Yeah.
Just for peace sake, let's do it.
Yeah. And just deal with your end of it. Sometimes you go, hey, I want to admit I was wrong and blah, blah, blah. And then you want them to say it and they don't. You go, wait a minute, this isn't right, but don't worry about it. Just take care of your end of it. And that's all you have to do. And that's hard because you want to hold them accountable. No, just take care of your end of it and shut up. And trust me, the weight will shift. They'll feel it that you've forgiven and loved them and you're not holding anything against them and you've shut up. Don't try to force them to do it. Love and forgiveness is a very powerful thing with people. And they might not get it for a week or a month or a year. They might come back later and go, man, I was really wrong. And you're thinking, why didn't you tell me this, 6 months ago when I was hurting? But they had to work it through. And so give them time. Give them time. Look how much time God gives us. He's given me 72 years so far and counting to keep
Amen.
trying to get things right. Okay. And he says, above all, speaking of clothing yourself with things, clothe yourself with love, which binds us all together in perfect harmony. See, that's the bottom line.
Thank you for watching this presentation of the Common Sense Commentary Series. Remember, God loves you more than you will ever know, and He will never leave or forsake you. Just put your trust in Him. If you have a question or a comment, you can contact me atccliftonjones.com. That'sccliftonjones.com. Now, go and enjoy your daily walk with God.